I don't want to be bothered, so I don't like bothering people.
Well, that's a situation that might have to change. Welcome back to the 100 Millionaires Podcast. My name is Walter Emeril, the real estate mentor. I'm hanging out with Michael Schein and Mitch Jaworski. Mike, bring us in, brother.
Massive income from passive income.
And how do we do it, Mitch?
We organize and we collect.
And actually, Mike, you were just holding up the shirt, names on deeds. So actually, that's kind of how we do it too, right? Like we just help people put their names on deeds. So we're on a mission to build 100 millionaires, who inspire to build 100 millionaires. Part of that actually involves rest. Rest is part of the program. And Mitch, you took some time to rest this weekend after the 100 Millionaires Summit. You decided to fly your way over to visit Mike Schein in Roatan, and you met somebody not on the plane, but in the airport.
Who technically on the plane too. He was on the same flight back to Miami as we were, which was quite interesting.
So you met a billionaire. You met a billionaire on the plane. He's one of the most famous billionaires. He's known for owning over 400 companies, and he likes virgins. So, Mitch, Mike, how did this happen, guys? His record label was literally
Michael,
virgin.
future billionaire Schein, brought us to the airport in Roatan, and when we were checking in, the people checking in like next to us, I looked over and I'm like, that dude looks exactly like Sir Richard Branson. And I said something to Teresa, and then she was like, it kind of does. So I said something to obviously Mike and Steve and Mel, and then whatever, we all checking in. So I was just waiting for him to say something or whatever to see if he had an English accent or whatever, and sure enough, he had an accent. And I'm like, that's got to be him. So I left it alone because I don't really get starstruck, and I'm not the type to really actually go up to celebrities. But yeah, so he was sitting down by himself for a quick second, and Mel and Teresa were like, should we ask him? And then Mel's like, yeah, ask him. So she went and basically asked, like, are you Richard Branson? And sure enough, he was. And turns out he was on the same flight as us to Miami, which is like, apparently billionaires will fly commercial when they need to, even if you own your own airline. It's like, well, Virgin doesn't fly to Roatan, so maybe he was scoping it out.
Yeah, apparently they were having the maiden voyage of the Virgin Mermaid, which is a new ship that's came into Roatan, because there are pictures. Steve Cutt sent me a picture of Sir Richard Branson with some of the employees in front of the new cruise ship, which is pretty awesome.
Not bad. So he flies in, he takes pictures, and he flies back out. That's his life.
Legendary.
Right.
But in the middle of it, he meets Michael Schein and Mitch Jaworski, who slam a picture.
Oh, Michael is the photographer. We're gonna, Walter, you're gonna have to train Mike in the selfie skill area, because instead of turning around and doing this, he turned around and did this.
Man, Mike, it's a flick of the wrist. So first you shoot and say, hang on, one more, and then you just hit the little reverse button, spin it around, and snap that shot. Hopefully nobody's dispersed in the middle of this split-second decision.
I'm a real believer in everything for a reason. And after I was thinking, I was like, well, it's not that big a deal to get this picture, because I'm certainly going to meet him again in many more affluent ways, and more opportunities are coming to me. If he's coming to Roatan, like, more billionaires are coming here. Didn't we learn that, Mitch, the whole week? There's tons of development.
Oh my God.
Also,
there's so many things we need to buy in Roatan.
So billionaires are going to Roatan. Mike beat them there, which means he's a billionaire in the making. Already billions are on the way. He's be networking with everybody. But Mike, I got to ask, I just want to share this with you. I also had a moment to take a picture with an icon in my life, Les Brown. And
nice.
In that moment, I took a picture for somebody else, and he was gone.
Yeah.
Before he left, he came over and shook my hand and said, thank you. Right. I saw what you did back there. I know you wanted the picture. I do have to go, but thank you so much. And
wow, that's
told me,
cool.
you got greatness in you. And I was like, whoa, no,
awesome.
don't, whatever. But he pulled me back in and was like, no, man, you look at me, kid. Look at me. And he said, you have greatness, and that, changed my life. So Sometimes you don't have to be in the picture to have an amazing experience. And Mike, you were there. You orchestrated the whole thing.
Experience. I value experience over pictures all day long. The pictures are right
Speaking-
here, and
Speaking
they'll
of
stay here.
experience,
They'll stay here long enough. If they go away
Speaking of
one
experience,
day,
you,
it'll be after it
you-
doesn't matter.
you did a transaction with Richard Branson, right?
I
Mitch?
mean,
Yeah.
it's a bit of a stretch, but we could say I did. So,
There was an exchange. There was an exchange.
well,
of
here's the
goods.
funny part is me being like the super connector I am. I'm really good at like being like behind the scenes. So turns out he was with, I'm assuming it was his wife and his son. And then, but they also had like a little entourage, so to speak. There was like 2 or 3 other guys that were traveling. I'm assuming business partners, whatever it was. And you need a mask just in the little custom section, which is tiny. It's like one room. And I had grabbed 4 of those, like, paper masks out of Mike's truck. And Mike, one of us had a mask with us or whatever. So I had an extra. And I think Mel was like, "Oh, that guy's looking for a mask or whatever." So like I'm like, I got you. I hand him a mask, and then he immediately walks 3 feet and hands it to Richard Branson. So I'm like, son of a, I'm like, I just didn't get credit for that. I'm like, I was like, you got to be kidding me right now. I'm like, whatever. I'm like, in theory, I transacted with Richard Branson.
You're one step away, one step removed from that transaction.
Like, it was hilarious. I literally hand the guy the mask, and then he walks 3 feet and
Wait,
hands it to Richard
wait a
Branson.
second. Where did you get that mask from?
I said I got the mask from I took the
So
mask
I'm
from
like
your
3
car.
degrees of separation.
So we
I'm
got
just kidding. I don't
Michael
give a shit.
Schein through
I
Mitch,
really couldn't
through random
care
guy.
less.
No,
I
this
have
is
a
this is
totally
Mitch's win
I
right
have a
here, Mike.
totally I have a totally different take on this. Okay. I don't care about Richard Branson. I mean, he seems like a very nice guy and all that kind of stuff. I've just noticed that this year I have met 3 billionaires. So I don't know what the heck is going on, but I am coming closer to this circle of people who are successful. And we were talking with Mel and Steve about this, that we see a path now to billionaire status. And once you meet billionaires and you see your path, then you're like, holy crap, this can completely happen. So, Sir Richard Branson is very cool. He's like a hero of mine and all that kind of stuff. But I don't care about pictures and that kind of stuff. I know that the universe is bringing me closer and closer to my goal. That's where I'm at.
Heck yeah.
I like that. We're connecting with billionaires, and it's making it more possible for everybody who's in Alchemist Nation, everybody who's hanging with us. Like, they're seeing it. We actually brought one of our billionaire friends to the summit. So Vinny Smile Chopra was there with us. And I don't know about you, but I got a kiss from Vinny. So I got the hug, I got the daps, I got the fist bumps, and I have a pair of sunglasses that he gave me on stage. So I'm feeling like a billionaire while I'm wearing these things. I'm like, guys, you want to do a transaction? Let's go. It's billionaire time. I'm with you, Mike. It is all about the experiences. It's about the fact that you're starting to get around billionaires and you're in a place where they're visiting, right? They're coming out there and checking out Roatan, and they're probably thinking about building businesses out there. So a huge opportunity just to get close to the people who are already seeing success. I think that's part of what alchemy is all about, right? We talk about it all the time in the mastery program, the mentorship, the masterminds. It's proximity to success. I wouldn't be in crypto if it wasn't for you, Mitch. I know me and Mike both probably wouldn't be in crypto if it wasn't for like proximity to somebody who was so comfortable with it. And I did want to ask, how is crypto doing right now? Like,
I mean,
doing
it's
all right?
chilling. It's literally just chilling. I mean, honestly, it's funny. I wrote a quick post actually while I was away. I had a minute of downtime, and I wrote a quick post on, I think it was Polkadot. It's one of cryptos I own, and it's just been flatlines for like 4 months. And someone put in the comments, flatline is a huge win in a bear market. And it's like, you're right. Like, it's literally, the price of this thing has gone sideways for 4.5 months, which is good because, most of crypto has been going sideways for just like 2-3 months. So yeah, I think it's more the same. Like, we're in just build and accumulate mode and just waiting for that next, bull market. But it's just crazy. I'm not going to say crypto stopped going down, but it hasn't gone down in several months. So who knows if we'll see, more bearish action depending on, stocks and the economy. And I think we got the Fed today, right? It's the Fed today. So we got the
today.
Fed. Yeah. So some people are talking full point increase.
Yeah, that's what
maybe
I
it's
thought. Actually, that's what I thought you were going to talk about was Fed, not crypto, because crypto is just kind of
yeah.
sleeping.
Yeah. Well, and that's what I
Those
like. I
markets,
like the fact that crypto is sleeping, even with when the Fed does stuff, Bitcoin doesn't react. Stock market swings up and down, Bitcoin doesn't react. I take this all as wins because maybe that means we're at the beginning of that like decoupling, so to speak, because it's so correlated to the stock market. So yeah, I'm still just, I'm compounding all the earnings I get. I just compound and letting that snowball build. And then, when we get our next bull run, we get our next up cycle. At that point, I'll probably be looking personally to, lock in some of those gains and, roll it into other investments like, like land in Roatan.
Land, Roatan. Yeah,
I can donate a soccer field to the island and have a resort on the other side with Mike Schein.
one of
yeah,
the
that's
reasons I bring it up.
actually true story. There's a piece of land that Brenda and I were walking by that just looks like it's sort of abandoned, but they're cleaning it. And we're like, what the heck's going on? So we spoke to a local, and she said some guy bought it, claimed he owned more than he owned, and took away the kids' soccer field, I believe it is. I don't know, they call it a ballpark, but I think it's a soccer field. Anyways, so our thought was it's like 2 acres. You could buy the property as long as you pay off the lien, and they're not going to let you pay off the lien unless you give them a soccer field. So what would be amazing is give them a really nice soccer field with beautiful flowers and gardens and things like that, and then use the other acre and a half to develop like a small hotel, kind of like a 16 unit. I was thinking like Frank Padalano has, and it's right across from the beach right here in West End. This area, Mitch knows now.
Yeah,
This
the
area
location is like prime.
It looks like in developing areas like that, you don't want to go with a 100-unit hotel, right? You want to start with, maybe
Yeah.
20 units. And then a few
Yeah.
years later, you build another 16, 20 units. You just kind of map out what you want to build, but you don't have the demand yet. So it's, build to size of demand. And then as it increases, you expand on the lot.
I think they have certain height restrictions. We did a tour, and I think he said it was like
That's
a
right.
five-story thing. I just thought in this area, it's only 2 acres, it's across from the water. Most things are like 3 or 4 stories high. And
I
so
mean, in
it
that
would just
case,
be
we
a
can do
perfect
24 units.
boutique hotel. There you go.
Yeah.
Or whatever it is, I just
Enough room to
I
do
put
6 units
16
a
on
floor.
in my journal, but I can always say 16 plus.
Open
Bump it
to
up.
adjustments.
16 works too.
So the reason
Yeah.
I talk about crypto and I want to lead into the stock market next is the stock market's gone, down a little bit, right? It's kind of going sideways, it's going across, similar to
Yeah.
crypto,
I mean,
but
there's
it's
a
got
chance it
bigger
bottomed
swings.
out.
It feels like it, it feels like
Hey.
it's hit a bottom.
It kind of
Yeah,
does.
I just so you know, Roatan is in the middle of Hurricane Lisa right now. So no, it is crazy. We're fine. There's tons of wind and all that stuff, but I think it's Lisa. Anyway, but no school today for the kids. So kids are home. Brenda's home. It's
Nice.
different atmosphere. So it's a little crazy here to see me talking and stuff.
I got out of Dodge right before it. I was literally just there
Yeah,
12
you
hours
guys
ago.
yeah, you and Richard Branson said, get the hell out.
That's
Get
why
out
he
of
was like, I'm
Dodge.
not finishing this cruise. He's like, I'm not doing no hurricane.
So we've been looking at, we're building millionaires and we're focused on increasing wealth. And one of the things that I look at is the stock market, the crypto market, and gold and silver, because there's so many gurus out there saying, you got to buy gold and silver, right? This is what you got to buy. Or you got to invest in stocks and this is how you get rich, or you got to invest in crypto. This is how you get rich. Like I know every single person who's listening to this right now has heard somebody or has had somebody message them saying, get into my Forex trading program, or get into my Bitcoin mining program, or get into something that I'm doing with gold and silver. You got to buy gold and silver. And I'm looking at the charts right now, and all of them are correlated in Suckville, right? Every single one of them is right. You get sideways, down and sideways for the last year. The SPY down and sideways for the last year, and gold down and sideways for the last year.
Yep.
And usually gold is considered the hedge. This is usually where people are like, okay, if the market's down, you put it in gold. but we're no longer seeing that. We're not seeing that correlation of inflation actually supporting gold. Inflation's actually eating away at the value of gold right now, which is very interesting. And I want to talk to you guys about that a little bit and just see, like, Mitch, especially, like, what is your opinion on it? Because it could be related to what Bitcoin's doing going sideways, right? It could be related to just cryptocurrency in general taking this sideways approach, is where gold has been supporting crypto. Just like people are selling out of gold and shifting into Bitcoin as the more solid asset class, which is what's been holding it up. Because in theory, it should have followed the stock market a little further down, but instead it's held the line a little bit better than the stock market, which makes me think people must be shifting out of this asset class. There must be some sort of shift. Real estate obviously doing well because of inflation, right? It's one of those assets that just always does well with inflation because of the fact that it's got income, it's got more demand. But gold used to be the one. Gold used to be the hedge for inflation, right? A high inflationary market, you go to gold, and that play doesn't work anymore. That play is completely broken. Like it's completely disconnected.
It seems like it doesn't anymore.
I don't quite know how to like review that, other than real estate currently is a stronger hedge against inflation.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, real estate probably is the best hedge when it comes to inflation, period. As far as gold, it had that moniker because that's almost the belief in place, so to speak. And because, it's, it has the scarcity and all that. And, the one thing that gold does have that you don't have with paper assets or even digital currencies is the fact that, gold is used, in products. So it's not like it's just straight investment demand and people like hodling. It is used for products throughout the world. So there is that demand. How much that is, I don't know. I've never looked. I feel like it's still probably somewhat of a fraction. But that is the one thing that, I don't know, maybe keeps people holding on, so to speak. But as far as it being desirable, you got to just look at, generations and the way people think. So it's just like it's the old guard. Like gold is not desirable for the younger generations. Like they're just not going to buy it.
Yeah, and you look at like gold, where it's been in the last 5 years, it's gotten as high as $2,000 per ounce, and we're down at the 1,600 mark. Like, what's your return on investment going to be on gold if it just gets back to its high, its all-time high of forever, is literally just a 20% increase. It's
exactly.
To me, no longer an asset worth even considering.
I was at a thing October 21st through the 23rd, and there was this guy who had these sporty kicks that lit up talking about crypto. And he mentioned that there's a limited supply of Bitcoin, 21 million, of which a bunch of million have been lost. And also some huge whales have taken stuff off the exchanges. So for the younger generation and for the smarter boomers out there, they're just sort of hodling and taking these off. So, people are predicting, Kathy Woods is predicting like $1 million coin Bitcoin. I mean, it makes more sense. I know Mitch is always talking about you can transfer it quickly. I mean, how do you hold on to like a couple of $1 million worth of gold? I don't know. You got like bars and stuff like that. It's not.
Well, you got to pay the fees for the vault.
Yeah,
that's
you
the thing
do
too
vaults,
about like
securities. Like it's really hard to hold unless you're doing securities. Like that's where at that volume, but it's hard to move. It's like you don't want to actually own the gold, right?
And a lot of people who I consider much smarter than me are all in on Bitcoin, and so if they believe that it's got a value, then I'm going to at least throw some money at. What do we call it? Our ride or die.
Yep, the ride or die single Bitcoin sitting out there
I'm
forever.
not staking it. I'm not staking it and doing all that stuff. I mean, I get it that you can make like 6 or 7% or maybe more.
Yeah, after watching Terra Luna, I no longer have full confidence in putting my Bitcoin into anything like that.
Don't invest in anything that has the potential of a death spiral. Make sure those mechanics don't exist.
100%. So like I'm looking at real estate now, and like this chart looks like an inflation chart. Like that looks, in line with inflation. It's the only asset class right now that's following the inflation charts. right? Like that, bam, there it is, right? And that's like right up to Q3 in 2022. Like average home prices continue to drive up.
Dude, that's insane. That
Wow.
is what looks like what, when I look at charts and I talk about blow off tops, like
Right?
that's what that looks like. And I'm not saying it's done, but it's like that's that first vertical. So I wouldn't be surprised if, that continues higher, but like, yeah,
I want to
that doesn't
ski
that
it.
that can't that's not sustainable.
And by the
I want
time
to ski it.
I
I
took
want
my
to take the
image,
chair.
I
I want to take the
screenshotted this
chairlift.
a month ago or 2 months ago, and we were just, it looked, we were showing that curve, but
Yeah.
that curve looks to be gone now. It looks like it's no longer a curve. It's just decided to shoot a little further higher. Go ahead,
You
Mike.
just take a nice chairlift up here, and you get to the top, and you just ski all the way down. It's just a beautiful
There you
run.
go.
Yeah, it was looking like it was going to be a pretty quick turn, and then it just said, "Nah, we got a little more juice in this." I have no
Kind of
idea what's
exciting.
driving
It's
that.
kind of exciting as a real estate investor because it's everything that the three of us have been talking about for a few years about real estate, that we said the market's going to turn. And even though your chart shows that it's not turning, the sellers are much more amenable to selling, and they've given a discount. So, if you follow Walter's rule where you're going to get it 20% below, you're going to be fine. And like I said, the sellers are more amenable to seller financing. They're more amenable to taking a little bit longer. Like this is a real estate and business play, but our car wash was supposed to close in like April or May. And then they were all forceful in the summer that it had to close by like November 15th. But then they had a change of heart because they spoke to some of their friends who are selling businesses, and they're just being patient with us. We got approved on the SBA, but then there's like environment. So it probably won't close till like late December, early January. But yeah, you wouldn't see that with sellers before. They'd be like, we're keeping the deposit, screw you, we're done,
Yeah, we're done. Yeah, now
we're
with
done.
interest rates continuously hiking. By the way,
Yeah.
the residential interest rate for mortgages is 7%. That is currently the lowest you can get on a mortgage is 7% interest. And they're talking about increasing it today. So like adding 1 point means literally 8% interest. You're talking about 1980s interest rates.
What's funny about that is I think I told on the podcast before that my dad had a mortgage book. In the old days. You didn't have the internet, so you just thumbed through this. The lowest mortgage on that was 8%. So like historically, now granted, my dad bought our family home for $75K, beautiful Tudor that would probably go. I know it would go. I think it just sold for 1.5 million. So
yeah, and one of the neighbors sold for 1.5, so it's like it's got to be in that ballpark. Your dad's done some renovations. He's on the water, but still, like
no, literally, this one in Providence just sold down in Providence, down the east side of Providence. Like a year ago for 1.5 million. So that was 75K when my dad bought it in the 70s.
Inflation, baby. I mean, think about it. He bought it at the start of what is, I don't even know the word I'm looking for, like just outlandish inflation. Like we always had inflation. Like we had inflation, over a decade, you could see like 100% cumulative inflation, in like whatever, the 40s, 50s. But since like 1970, like it's just insane. But those who owned assets benefited from it.
What's a dollar worth? Like if you had a dollar in 1970, what's that dollar worth now? Do you know? I know it's like
here's what I can tell you. Look at the Fed chart, right?
I have to do the math. I just know like
in the 70s, a house was $27,000 and now it's $540,000. So like there you go. Like that is literally that's the inflation of real estate, right? That's how far your dollar got you.
That's not, you have to own assets. I said it last year at the summit. I said it this year at the summit. Like if you don't own assets, you're basically your wealth is shrinking moment by moment. I mean, hell, if you didn't have if you just like straight earn wages and that's your only source of income, if you didn't get basically a 9% increase in your wages over the last 12 months, then you basically make less money now.
Yeah.
When you basically needed 9% to break even.
Every dollar's worth 91 cents.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like that. And
And this
let
is
that
not
set
going
in.
away tomorrow. Like we're gonna have inflation for a hot minute.
Yeah. Well, you got the same amount of money. It just bought you 9% less.
Though today, supposedly they're going to raise it 3/4 of a point, but then people are expecting them to be slightly more dovish. And if, I mean, it may or may not happen. I don't know.
I'm back and
the
forth
Fed
on
seems,
this.
yeah, me too. So,
I
they're
have
hell
but
two
bent on
theories.
increasing. Yeah, what are the two theories? I mean, we got a
Yeah.
few minutes before Mike has to get out of here, but what are the two
So-
theories you got, Mitch?
Theory number one is well, soon it'll come out. Theory number one is the October employment numbers are going to be bad because of the seasonal adjustments. Like the seasonal adjustments are always favorable the first 9 months, and then they're like negative. And that adjustment might be bigger than usual this year. And if that's the case, that'll give them their excuse to chill, because the whole reason they keep raising is like, oh, the economy's strong, unemployment's low. So that if there's a chink in the armor there, that would give them an escape hatch if they want to take it. But I'm starting to get off my belief that the Fed is a bunch of wimps and like they seem hell-bent on juicing. So I honestly think they may keep going. Granted, the Fed fund rate doesn't directly impact mortgage rates. Those can free float on their own, and they do. But rumor has it that their goal is to get mortgage rates up to 10, and if not really 11%. So if that's the
Yeah, I've been
case,
calling double
Well,
digits for
it's funny
months
though,
now.
because you have people like Kathy Wood just wrote a letter that she published to the committee saying that you're making a huge mistake. And so, and there are also people, because they're looking at lag indicators when what the quote unquote smarter people are looking at, they're looking forward and they're already seeing things fall apart. So
but Mike, are they
you're
making
crashing
sense?
this economy.
But
Right.
hold on, that honestly might not be the mistake. That might be the goal. Because think about this: the U.S. dollar and petrodollars, are weakening in terms of their dominance and people's desire to use it, right? So all the other countries are begging the Fed to stop raising, right? They're
Yeah.
suffering more than the U.S. And it's literally
Yeah.
almost like, all right, well, we're going to do this. So you're relying on our dollar still. We maintain our reserve currency dominance, right? And yeah,
Yeah.
we're going to suffer, but we're going to suffer less than you guys.
Yep.
So I was
But
reading about
I
that.
guess my issue is that
You got to
I've
remember,
been
this is a global game. When the Fed
Yeah.
is playing, they're not playing for the US.
playing
They're
a
playing the
global game.
global game. Yep.
I mean, I've been following Kathy Wood for like 5 years now, and she's been spot on and everything, even with inflows and outflows out of her fund. Everything she said has come true. So when she writes a letter like that published, not,
I agree
tend to
with her,
believe-
Mike. From a
I agree with her.
domestic standpoint,
Yep.
100% agree with her. But I
Yep.
think it doesn't matter because they're playing a global game. And again, like
Right.
if our economy gets hit, it's going to be less pain than the other. Like they're already like the UK is screwed. Like
Yeah.
it's getting ugly and it's messed up. But
Europe is messed. I mean, and now the Chinese economy is getting hit too. So yep.
and there's like, what is it? BRIC, and there's two other countries that want to join them, and they're basically like trying to create something that's going to like replace the petrodollar, aka the US
Right. I
dollar.
saw that. That was like, but it wasn't that like Russia and China. I think those are the two. So yeah.
No, I don't know that they were involved in that.
Oh, well, I was reading an article yesterday and it was Russia and China that want
Okay.
to
Well, no,
get us
they're obviously
off
always
US
trying to do something.
dominance.
But yeah, no,
Take Russia.
it's all interesting. I mean, who knows what'll play out and what's true and what's not, but
But I'm not sure if they're going to get more dovish today when they speak. But the prediction for most of the people that I follow, like on Twitter, is that they're going to keep acting aggressive until like the end of this year, and then they'll have to back off.
that I agree with. Yeah, especially even like
And
that.
that
even
goes right
on a-
with what you were saying about the employment, because the employment keeps looking hot, but if it's not, that's going to be a big surprise.
Yes, and like that comes out after they, do their thing today. So basically they can look hawkish for the rest of the year, and then come January, be like, oh, and again, that's one of the theories that I was kind of sitting on, in terms of just my random opinions. But some of that's changed with some of these, larger outlooks in terms of global scale and whatnot. And it literally they might be playing a game of chicken because they're like, we know everyone else is gonna have to flinch before we do.
Yep. It goes back to milkshake theory. Do you remember that? The dollar milkshake theory?
Yeah. I was reading someone, he called this dude took dollar milkshake theory and called it the Bitcoin milkshake theory, and literally said what the Fed's doing actually is like good for Bitcoin.
Yep.
He was actually saying like, basically
that explains why Bitcoin is flatlining too.
There's a scenario like where Bitcoin, like basically the government is going to make the US dollar stronger with the use of Bitcoin. It was crazy. Like the guy with the way he broke, he's like, stay with me for a minute. But as I was reading, I'm like, holy shit, that would actually be genius by the government to do.
They got people way smarter than us doing all the math, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah,
literally economists are like who they hire for this stuff. And for everybody who doesn't know the dollar milkshake theory, it basically explains how the US rallies, how a US dollar rally in terms of basic market dynamics and like exceeding supply. So like the theory was like you stick a straw in the ground and you're taking the oil from the other country, right? Like you're putting the straw in your ground, but you're taking somebody else's economy away from them. And rising interest rates creates that demand for the dollar. It just, you need more dollars now. And so everybody who owes us something, it's like, well, these guys are paying more. Now I've got to go pay more in order to get those dollars. So
sounds like a title issue. They're stealing your subterranean oil fields.
They're all playing the game.
Texas title attorneys would have a field day with that.
Yeah, you gotta look at this. You gotta look at this as a global economy. It really is, and you're right, Mike. It would be a title issue.
Yeah. But seriously, in Texas, they do have like mineral rights fights because they'll drill down and take somebody else's oil.
This currently is unregulated, right? Governments can destroy their currency at any rate, however they want, and then they can just as quickly go and increase the power by increasing interest rates, and there's nobody to stop them. There's nobody who can play the game and be like, oh, stop doing that.
Mitch got to see us take out Lempiras in Roatan. And
I was like, Michael Schein.
ATM, and Brenda's like, hey, take out 10,000 Lempira. And it's like an ATM, just like, shh, that's $400. That's $400.
I was like, Mike,
sounds like
sums of money is coming to you. Like literally, you just took 10 G's out of the ATM, and yeah, it's like $400.
Yeah.
You want to feel rich? Go to Roatan, take out 10 Lempiras, 10K.
But we did label this as the Roatan trip, and one of the things that Steve, Melanie, and Mitch saw is that you can really build stuff cheap here and get some cheap lots, and then get Airbnb and all sorts of opportunities here. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
There's so much money. I mean, all those brand new like gas stations, like with the Circle K, like Marts or whatever, like they're just big businesses moved into the island. That island is gonna just pop off over the next 5 to 10 years.
It's pretty exciting. I know another guy who's got a rental out there. I want to say it's just a condo, but he's got a rental out in Roatan. He's crushing it on the rental because
is that Nick?
Nick, yeah.
Nick? Yeah, nice.
The dive market is out there. He's a diver himself.
Yeah.
We did a tour, which was amazing. Mitch can tell you, but there are like 16 families that are super, super rich, and they control all sorts of stuff here. And the businesses they're in, like ferries to the other islands, propane, BIP gas stations and Circle Ks.
Utilities.
All around.
Get into the utilities.
Oh my God. Utilities. Rico, Roatan Energy Company is like the biggest, and that's owned by one of the families. It's just, we're talking billionaires. We're not talking millionaires. We're talking billionaires. And the tour guide, super nice guy, said he'd be happy to introduce me to a couple of them. So there you go.
That's the game. Like, think about how billionaires think. They want the utility. The first thing they go for in an island that has no utilities in, they're like, you know what we're gonna do? Utilities. Get it while it's cheap. Get it while you can.
Dude, he was saying like the guy like that's got like pretty much controls all the gas stations, all that stuff. The dude literally makes like $1 million a day. It's like something stupid.
Yep. You jump
into the life goals. Life goals.
I learned that. Man, I learned that working at Walmart. like we call them consumable goods, right? Like it's the stuff they need every single day. That's the stuff that drives the heart of the business. Everything else is like, maybe it pulls them in here and there. They make some profit on the clothes, but it's the food, it's the milk, it's the bread. Like that's what brings them in every single day. And
brilliant. Look at you learning that, working at Walmart. That's amazing. That is
Wally
amazing.
World University.
Yeah,
man, I
nice
wanted
job.
to get rich. I didn't care where I was going to learn.
Yeah. And I got to jump off. Gotta go. Gotta call.
Mike, take us out of here, brother.
I've been thinking about this because I'm wearing the shirt a lot because now it's a little cooler in Roatan, so I can actually wear sleeves again.
I know that struggle is real. I was wearing a Mission to Million shirt Sunday, like sweating.
You sweat. Even Sir Richard Branson was sweating. But it really is as simple as Walter says, just put names on deeds. Put names on deeds. So massive income from passive income, names on deeds.
Heck yeah.
Truth. Mitch, how do we do it?
You got to organize and collect so you can put your names on those deeds.
That's it. The point is not to work, it's to generate income. If you want access to names on deeds, go to alchemistnation.com. The course is free. Cheers to your success. If you have a choice, always work with the best.
Always work with the best. Peace.
See you guys.
Peace.